This is my latest buy-to-let property. And when I bought it, it was tired, gross, and in need of some love. So I gave myself a £5,000 budget. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you the full transformation and the result.
We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who?
Welcome to Project West. This is my new property, my new purchase, or my latest purchase that I'm going to be doing a renovation on. Now come on in, I want to show you around this room. In the short term, the plans in here effectively are going to be to remove this wallpaper, which is starting to come away from the wall anyway, and obviously properly repaint all of these walls. It's going to be to plaster the ceiling, remove the coving, and to replace the flooring as well. Now there's lots of things you probably can't see on camera. There's lots of wires that are run around the skirting, old telephone wires down here, and it's actually got a little bit grotty around the window where the previous tenant used to hang things around the window. So just lots of general tidying up to do in this room, but we'll be able to spin it round nice and quickly. So heading on into the other rooms, hallway, very similar thing, Artex ceilings, get rid of those, obviously new flooring, lots of general tidying up. Right now I'm standing in the kitchen, which hopefully will be like the biggest transformation, because these are actually really solid, kitchen units. And although not ideal, I would much prefer to replace it with a little compact unit in that sitting room. In terms of keeping what we've already got, this will work. And I've done a very similar kitchen to this in a property I used to own, where I sanded it down, repainted it in a navy blue, and it came up brilliantly. My plans as of right now is a nice dark gray on this. Obviously remove these tiles and replace those. New worktops, because these are grim as well. New oven, new sink. I mean, this will basically look like a new room, as well as the things that we're doing in the other rooms, which is plastering the ceiling, replacing the flooring. Again, just with your typical kind of like cushion flooring, which maybe looks like a wooden flooring, as opposed to not, I'm not gonna be putting carpet in there, for example. Not gonna be putting like a nice wood flooring, because we might change that into a bedroom in the future. Behind me is the bathroom, which what you can't potentially see again on camera is that my feet are near enough sticking to the floor, which is gross. But I've actually started taking up the flooring, and I've gone down not just the one layer, but I've then gone to the second layer here. Then I've gone to the boarding underneath, which turns out that was rotting. And actually there's a flooring under that. And then there's a boarding under that, which is also rotting, and that's disgusting. That's literally gross. So this is all coming up. I'm gonna be replacing the boarding, which probably sits on top of joists. Then we'll be able to put, again, like a new cushion flooring down on there. And apart from that, the bare bones of this bathroom are actually really good. The tiles are nice, the grouting is pretty good. It's got an electric shower. So what we'll do is just replace the screen, replace the side panel, replace the flooring, probably new taps and a good paint, just to bring it up to spec a bit. And I'm sure you can still probably hear my feet sticking to the floor. Last room, this isn't a very big tour, I hate to tell you. The main bedroom, or the only bedroom currently, until we change things in the future. There isn't much to say. We'll be doing the ceiling, we'll be doing the flooring with carpets again. This morning, I ripped off the wallpaper in this room, which came off really easy. I was actually just whipping it off like this, whereas I don't think it'll be quite that easy in the sitting room, sadly. But yeah, give this room a really nice paint round. There's a small leak coming from the bathroom that needs to be sorted. And again, just lots of little jobs around the wiring and around how things have got just a little bit shabby over the years. But overall, the plan is to quickly spin this round in December, when it's not a good time to put it on the rental market anyway, get it up to speed, list it in January, hopefully get a good tenant in here as soon as possible, paying rent.
Switch on the homies in the day ones. They didn't want to open doors, so we made some. Take a bow on these haters like I'm Trey Young. That direct deposit hitting like a bass drum.
Right, so we've already run into one problem, which is that the wallpaper that we thought would come off okay, actually isn't, and it's taking the plasterboard with it, as you can see there. It's just when it was obviously built, plasterboard, wallpaper straight on top, and it's been like that for years and years and years. Got two options really. First of all, we could plasterboard onto the old plasterboard, but then obviously we'd have to, we're gonna lose about 12 mil of the room, and we'd have to move the skirting and the coving. And as much as I hate the coving, and really want to get rid of it, it's just not really a sensible decision with the fact I'm trying to quickly spin this flat around, and it doesn't necessarily bring any additional ROI. So the coving is staying. In fact, what we're probably going to do is remove the old plasterboard and then dot and dab new plasterboard onto this concrete, which for longevity is probably better. It means we don't have to upset the skirting or the coving. So, an update for you, if you walk on in, we're back at the flat, and I wanted to walk you through the progress that has been made, or should I say the problems that have been solved. When it comes to property, it's always a case of problem solving. So I wanted to walk you around the different things that we've, I guess, come up against so far and explain what we've done to tackle it. First one being this wall here. Don't know if you remember, but there was like wallpaper in segments on this wall here, and I thought, no problem, what we'll do is we'll get a wallpaper stripper in, we'll get rid of it, and problem solved. However, it was wallpapered straight onto the plasterboard. So that was completely out of the question from the get-go. And it wasn't a case that we could remedy it, because when we were trying to take it off, we ruined the plasterboard. So really, the quickest, easiest solution was actually to take off all the plasterboard, have it reboarded and skimmed over by the plasterer. That was the quickest and easiest solution. Ended up costing us about an extra £240, but I'm quite happy paying for that because I didn't have to do too much work or get involved with it. So that's that sorted. With the ceilings, obviously we've had all the ceilings plastered, so we've had them flattened because they were Artex previously. That isn't necessarily a problem. That was already something I knew was happening. So we got that sorted pretty quickly. In terms of other works that have gone on in this room, we've had to fix the door because that wasn't opening properly. So the actual door and the lock itself. I'm still gonna have to go around these windows because like the previous tenant used like something to seal them shut. I think she might have had animals here, sealed them shut, and it's left loads of like residue on the UPVC window frames. So I'm gonna have to get rid of that. Down here, a couple of the sockets weren't fully functional, and we've obviously had to have them sorted, as well as all this filler around it because they were just disastrous. Like there were these big gaps around them, just small things like that that wanted resolving. In addition to that, obviously skirting has now gone on with the new plasterboard wall. So that will be sort of finished off and finalized over the next couple of days. Moving through into the next room, the architraves were covered with like 3 or 4 layers of paint. We also had like a cable running over it. So taking that cable off, we've rerun it through the loft, dropped it down the wall where we did the new plasterboard wall, and we've paint stripped the inside of this and still need to do it on some of these ones as well, so that we can take the architrave back to kind of how it should look as new. Kitchen has been just a whole host of changes. In my mind, what I wanted to come in and do initially was to take off the cupboard doors, sand it down, repaint it, because I like to refurbish and recondition kitchens. It's something that I've got experience in, and it's a really brilliant way of saving money yet transforming the kitchen. But in this scenario, my plan was to potentially rewrap the units, change the oven, and kind of go from there. But what we did find is, thinking about rewrapping the worktops, actually the worktops weren't in good condition. So then I was thinking, right, I'm going to get an oak worktop instead, which is actually sitting down here right now. But whilst I'm at it, well, we might as well get rid of this whole freestanding oven situation. We might as well put a unit under, have a built-in oven, induction hob over the top, and actually carry the worktop all the way along. So what we did was got 4 meters of worktop. I cut it down to just over 3 meters because that would take us all the way from the end of the window there down to this part in the kitchen in which the tiles were coming out to. Now, you might be saying, Justin, that sounds pretty good. Fairly good problem solved. However, we couldn't get the 3 meters through the door of the flat. We managed to get it up several flights of stairs. We just simply couldn't get it in, and it can't be passed up from the outside because it's too high. So in the hallway, I then cut this down to I think it's about 2.6 meters, so that now it falls in line with this tile, and hence why we have removed these tiles. We've cut it down, managed to get it in, and this will still be a good worktop area. So in this room, what's left to be done? Quite a lot. We've got to put a new sink in, replace the windowsill, obviously using these worktops, new worktops. So we have one bit here, one long bit there, with built-in oven, induction hob, obviously putting a extractor in here. And then the main, I think, most transformative thing that we're doing is that I've sanded down these units, as you can see. I'm going to be painting them a dark grey. So then this room will be white on the walls, dark grey cupboards with a nice oak worktop as well. So I think that'll be a really nice finish. So talking of the kitchen units, moving into this room. This is the bedroom, but you can actually see some of the units here. This is the kitchen, which I've sanded down. They do need a wash. They've got splodges on them, which you might be thinking, why is that? And basically what I've done is fill the old holes where the handles were. They'll need sanding over again. That'll need taking off. And then I'm putting knobs on each one. So they've all been bought. I'll show you them in a second. In this room, not much is changing. There was wallpaper on this wall, which has all been stripped off. I filled in the holes, sanded down the blemishes, and it's had one coat of paint. Same with the rest of the room. There is years of holes on the walls, so I've filled all of those, sanded down the doors and the architraves. Final stop, bathroom. We're actually retaining, I want to retain as much as possible. I keep saying we, it's me, but it's my dad that's doing a lot of the labour work for me. I'm paying him to do so. And obviously the occasional trades that are coming in, plumber, plasterer, electrician, so on. I'm actually retaining a lot of this bathroom in terms of the tiling, the bath, replacing the shower screen, but there was a big issue with the floor. Effectively, it's an old chipboard floor. You can still see parts of it here and here. There was about 4 layers of flooring on top, which we've now removed most of it and replaced the rotten parts of the chipboard where water over the years has just gradually got through it, made it rotten, and it was bad to walk on. Whereas now we've leveled it out with ply, and now the flooring company can come in and obviously put down the new flooring when that is due. See, what I'll show you is the door handles and the kitchen knobs, because I'm really happy with these. I get excited over the most random things, but I bought these online at a very good price in the Boxing Day sales. Most people are shopping for hoodies. I'm shopping for door handles. Very happy with those. Got a very good price. Sorry B&Q, but in B&Q, these are, I think, £26 for a pair. I think I ended up paying like £12 a pair or something. Might have been less than that. And then as for the kitchen units, they're all gonna have one of these knobs. I think they're a right result. They look great. I think normally they're like £6, £7. It's quite expensive. I think I paid about £3 each. So very happy with those. There is still lots to go on in this, but I would believe that this project will be wrapped up in the next 2 weeks, and it better be wrapped up because the flooring company are coming in. To finalise or finish, I guess, on that comment, flooring wise, what are we doing? Whee! Health hazard around here, isn't it? Yeah, it better be finished by then. And I guess to finalise on the flooring, what are we doing in terms of flooring? Carpet in the sitting room, carpet in the hallway with one of those kind of ribbed doormats, which are durable, means you can scrub your feet as you come in. In the kitchen, I've got a vinyl that's going down, which is kind of a wood effect that will somewhat match and be similar to the oak worktops. I think that will contrast well against the white walls, the dark grey units. Carpet in the bedroom, vinyl again in the bathroom. I've gone for like a basic concrete effect. I was going to go for that kind of Victorian tile style, which I've done in a few houses up north. Actually decided not to. Went for a concrete style, thought it'd be a little bit harder wearing. You won't be able to notice some of the marks, and I'm excited to show you the finished result. Let's put it that way. At this point, time and money was quickly slipping away, and my goal to have this property on the rental market in January was just not achievable. And my refurb budget, which I will share with you shortly, was also slowly dwindling. The hope of keeping this under £5,000 was getting really tight. We're now 1 week on from that last clip, and I want to do a quick walk around as we're getting very close to flooring going in, very close to actually getting this place rented, which would be an absolute achievement at this point. It's gone on longer than I wanted, but not much has changed in here other than getting a third paint of coat on this wall, which was the new wall, the third paint of coat on this ceiling. We've had first and second coats done on these 2 walls here. There was loads of little holes actually in this wall, and they've now been filled in, sanded down, and the only bits really remaining is going around the sockets. It's going around where the radiator is going to sit. As you can see, the electric radiator's there, just sits there. This is actually a very warm flat. This is the only flat or place where I'd actually be comfortable having electric radiators. It's not really a go-to for me. I like buying properties that have gas central heating, but When coming here, seeing that it had a couple of radiators, seeing that it had a good EPC and that it feels warm, I was like, I'm fine with this. So yeah, almost done in here. Needs new light fittings, the remaining of the paint done. We're almost there. So heading back into the hallway, these walls have had their first coat of paint. Ceilings had 3 coats, so that's there. But really the main changes are actually in the kitchen this week. I've had my dad here, so he's coming in at least 2 days a week, some days 3 days, and he's been basically rebuilding the kitchen. So in that last clip, you saw that old cooker here. That's now been gone. I paid a company to come and collect it because I did not fancy lifting that big oven down 2 flights of stairs. And then he's had the worktops put in. So my dad is a very multi-skilled, classic DIY dad. So he's been able to cut in the worktops and go into this bit here, obviously do this to the perfect size. He's cut in the new sink, cut in obviously the induction hob, and we're currently just waiting on an electrician to actually come and wire up the hob and the oven, which is going in here. But then there's space and plumbing for washing machine here, space here for a bin, and space here for whatever you fancy. But there's a really good selection of cupboards actually. It's a big kitchen for a 1-bedroom flat really. And again, for me, just shows the power of actually utilizing what's there. Because when you see the before and afters of this, it's gonna be wonderful. When you think that was a grim looking, dated wooden kitchen, and now it's gonna be dark gray with really nice wood worktops, built-in appliances. I'm gonna transform that for like under 1,000 for definite. Moving into this room, nothing really has changed with the room, but this is currently the factory production line of the kitchen worktops, which have been sanded down. The holes have been filled in, as you can see from this one here, and they're just getting painted. Obviously this needs the back painting. Primered, 2 or 3 coats of dark grey paint. I went a little bit too dark grey. I didn't have too much time to test all the different paints, so I just gambled it. And you know what, it looks nice. It will look really good in that kitchen. And although it's slightly darker than I wanted, I think I'll be really happy with the finish and that. And then finally in the bathroom, literally just had another coat of paint in here. But one thing you'll notice throughout is these doors have been sanded down. We're actually keeping them because they're solid doors, although they don't have the nice patterns like the new Howden's doors that you can get. They're just really solid doors. To actually replace them, I think would be silly. When they all fit, they work perfectly, the hinges are great. So we're just waiting now for these to be painted, the architraves to be painted, skirting to be painted, and obviously the other coats of paint on the wall really. So good progress, but still not as much progress as I'd like. On that topic, actually, I think it's a good chance to talk about the different ways that you can do refurbishments. And I know you might think, well, how many different ways can there be? But in my eyes, there's like 3 different ways that we can do refurbs. One, you can go and do it all of yourself, but I highly don't recommend you do that because it takes a long time. It really is stressful at times. And obviously you're kind of doing that to save money, but actually you're probably impacting how much money you can earn by not being there and working on that refurb. Because if you've got a job, if you've got a business, you should probably put more time into that. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is probably my most favored method, which is working with the main contractor and a build team, because then of course, if I'm living down here, which is on the south coast, I've got my properties up in the northwest, well, there's not a chance I want to be doing too much management of that refurb. I just want to be able to check in, make sure the fundamental things are happening during that refurb, make sure payments are getting made. But I don't want to be arranging people, dealing with admin, worrying about the progress of the project. So if I have a main contractor in place, they're managing the different trades, they're managing the date, they're managing the quality of the finish, and then I can just go and check it, I can snag it with them. Obviously that comes with a higher cost implication. Often they're bigger companies, they're normally VAT registered, and generally it's going to cost you more because they're kind of factoring in that element of outsourcing trades or managing their own trades and managing people and paying people full time. So the cost is definitely a lot higher, but I do think it's worth it if it offsets the amount of work I have to put in. And the third and final way really is the way that I've done this project, which is actually managing individual trades. I could count my dad as a labourer, and obviously I've had a plasterer in, we've had a plumber in to help with the stopcocks, fit taps and replace some valves. And then I've got an electrician coming in, of course, to obviously do the certificate, do the induction hob and the oven. And The main drawbacks to that method is, again, I've got to get quotes, I've got to arrange for them to come in, and I get really frustrated when there's like 2 or 3 week gaps where they're not able to get here because they're not the biggest jobs in the world, replacing taps, replacing stopcocks, doing things like that. I completely get it. Plumbers don't want to come in unless they've got to, re-plumb something, put a new boiler in, new radiators, and same for electrician. But those gaps in time have made this small refurbishment go from my predicted 4 to 6 weeks is now actually looking more like 8 to 10 weeks, which it really shouldn't be because this is like a sub £5,000 or sub £6,000 refurbishment. So they're the 3 ways. I absolutely prefer working with a main contractor. I will jump in if needs be, but again, that's a really bad use of my time, so I don't do option number 1. And this has been a good reminder for me that I can do option number 3, but it really takes away from my day-to-day if I'm having to try and arrange people. So I'll definitely be going back to my main contractor route in future refurbs.
She like me, she might be what I need. She get spicy, want taste test, come by me, yeah. I'm icy, way too icy.
This room is 97.5% there. The only 2.5% are just going around and painting over a few scuffs, finishing off around the corners. But apart from that, it looks brilliant. Actually, the radiator's slightly unlevel still, which really bugs me, which we are going to be sorting out. But it's looking really good now. And apart from those scuffs and different things, this room is finished, which I'm really pleased with. This is such a big room. This really could have been a kitchen, a kind of open plan lounge kitchen. Which it might be in the future. As for the kitchen, I'm also incredibly excited and proud of this room because I have managed to make a massive saving by refurbishing this kitchen, which I will talk to you about in a bit. But overall, it's looking really smart. It is very dusty. So if you look at these kitchen cupboards, they look nice, but they are covered in a thick layer of dust where we've been sanding and also trying to finish off where these tiles were previously without ruining the old plasterboard. So we're doing a fix-up job on that, should we say. But these look really smart. I'm really pleased with the handles. Obviously, the actual frame itself has now been painted black, which is looking good. And I've actually painted the shelves black as well, just to sort of tie in with it. I say black, it's like a really dark gray, but it kind of comes out black in camera. Again, we're not 97.5% finished in here. We're probably kind of 80, let's go for 83% in here. But we're getting there, we're really getting there on that one as well. This is now changed from like a navy blue kind of color to white. There's had to be some stain blocking done on this side. But apart from that, this room is really getting there as well. I won't go into the bathroom. That is the final room that we're going to be finishing off. But again, there isn't much left to do. So for a bit more context on the bathroom, it's not a case of, look, let's just leave it to it and move on from this property. It's actually a case of, that bathroom actually is fully functional. It's up to date in terms of design. It's not really dated. It just doesn't make sense to go in there and spend, £3,000 or £4,000 on ripping out and replacing it with a new bathroom when I believe it's got another 2, 3, 4 years left in it. But I do believe that over the next 3 to 5 years, I will be back into this property. I will be replacing that bathroom, obviously updating anything else that needs to be updated at the time. The main thing to talk to you about here is the carpets and the vinyl, which is the main change since last time, because we do still need to do other general jobs in this property, which is the architraves, the doors, and finishing off some of these door handles. But aside from that, we've had carpets done throughout in the sitting room, hallway, and the bedroom. And then I've gone for vinyl in the kitchen, vinyl in the bathroom. So the kitchen vinyl is like a really nice wood effect that kind of semi-matches the worktops, so that there's kind of dark greys, there's white tiles, and then there's wood in the property. And then in the bathroom, I've gone for this kind of concrete effect because I just figured it would be one of the easiest things to have in there that would match the different colors that are already in the bathroom, or the different tones of gray that are already in the bathroom, but also hopefully it'd be quite hard wearing. Overall, I love the final outcome of this kitchen. There is still a plinth missing underneath the oven, but apart from that, it's 99% done and it's nearly finished. And I'm really happy with the final result of this overall refurbishment. I think the flat looks great, and I've had a rental valuation come in at £950 per calendar month, which means I'll make in the region of £380 profit per month. Mistakes have been made, and they were, well, firstly, I did the whole kitchen cupboard repaint myself, and realistically, me, well, I should not be getting involved with any part of this refurb. Even the parts that I enjoy, like refurbishing the kitchen, are now a big waste of my time. It takes time away from my business and away from finding the next potential property to buy. One day, I might actually learn from this lesson rather than just sharing it in videos. And aside from that, I made the mistake of booking in the flooring too early. I thought the pressure of the flooring fitters coming around would bring this project to a close even quicker, but instead, well, it just caused more friction because actually now we had to paint the remaining rooms, the skirting, the architraves and the doors whilst having brand new carpet. So we had to be really careful to not ruin the new flooring. So lesson learned on that one, I should know better. Flooring does not come in until everything else has been done. And then lastly, well, I toyed with the idea of that kind of Victorian tile style flooring in the bathroom, but went for concrete effect instead. I think this was a mistake. The concrete effect is very underwhelming and it didn't really work well in this bathroom. So I'll remember that one for in future. So this is the part that you've been waiting for. Did this refurbishment come in under that £5,000 budget that I set? And what did everything cost during this refurbishment? Well, this is the point at which I share everything. So let's get straight to it. With Project West, there was obviously a limiting amount of refurbishment works. We're not going back to brick. We're not doing some crazy big refurb, rewire, new boiler, hence why we kept that refurbishment budget down. There's certainly plenty of things here which I want to share with you, which I think could be interesting to you. So first of all, plastering. Of course, we had the ceilings all plastered within the property because it had Artex ceilings. And I mentioned that problem that I had earlier on in this video where we had to take down that wall in the sitting room, obviously re-plasterboard it and then skim over the top. So the total of that came in at £1,390. Now to some parts of the UK that would seem like a lot. To this part of the UK, I actually think that's a very fair price, and I've worked with this plasterer before. He is top grade and the best plasterer that I have worked with in my time within property. So I was very pleased with that. As for flooring, although this certainly didn't come in at this stage, it came in a bit early, but not this early, I've added it in here as line number 2, but the flooring came in at £1,360. That is for majority carpet throughout the property, in the hallway, the sitting room, the bedroom, with obviously the kind of entrance hallway matting that you can have as well. And then I had vinyl put in the kitchen and the bathroom. Now, these were all kind of mid-grade quality, not the cheapest of the cheap, but also not the most expensive as well. I wanted to make sure that we went for durable, but also very comfortable. So again, not too unhappy with this price range, 1,360, and it truly is always flooring which does that final transformation within a property. The third line on this refurbishment is the plumber. Although there were no major plumbing works done at this property, there is not a boiler at this property. There was, of course, works to be done in the bathroom, which was the flexis and replacing the taps. And not only that, but we have 2 stopcocks in this property, one inside the property in a cupboard and then one just outside of the property. And unfortunately, they had both ceased on, but not able to turn them off. And therefore, that is a major problem if, of course, you have a leak and you can't turn off the water supply. Not only that, but if we need to replace things such as flexis and the taps and so on, well, we couldn't turn the water off. So we needed to address the issue there with the stopcocks first, replace those. So really what I'm paying for with the plumber here is the time and to replace some of those parts, but I have also factored some of those parts in under the bathroom material costs. So that was the plumber. The electrician, £0. You might be thinking, why did he not charge anything? Or why have I not put anything there? We did indeed have some electrical work done, but only a very, very limiting amount. We had the oven switched over and then we had some new sockets installed. And the electrician, shout out to Jack, who is a friend of mine, he came around and did it for free. He did it on the way back from another job. The intention was for him to not do it for free, but he simply wouldn't take payment. So I feel very guilty for that whilst recording this video, but I'm very, very grateful. It's the first time I think I've ever had some works done for free. So that is the benefit of your network. Next is labour, and this is by no means a small part of the job. This is in fact the biggest part of the job, because the majority of what you've seen done to this flat is labour tasks, and that was all very kindly done by my dad, because this is a local property to us. He was able to jump in. He's currently retired and has a few extra days in his week in which he was able to turn his hands to something like this. Not sure that he loved every minute of it, but he certainly was a massive, massive help on this project, and a massive thanks to him. I doubt he'll ever watch this, but he was a huge help on this project and really did everything that you've seen in terms of transforming this property. So some of the work's done in the bathroom to obviously the subfloor, everything that you've seen in the kitchen in terms of changing over the worktops, changing over the units, putting the oven in and the hob in, apart from connecting them, of course. He has done every labour task that you can think of, replacing skirting, doing bits of painting, siliconing, done everything. He is the classic person that can turn his hands to something and do a really good job of it, and actually, in my personal opinion, a better quality than actually some builders I've worked with as well. Don't shoot me for saying that, but I really believe that. Next was the waste removal. Now, there was, of course, a bit of waste removal, which I've included under some of the material costs for the oven, but aside from that bit of waste removal, the main bulk of this waste removal was actually done by myself. I actually did a lot of this, so technically not free, not £0, because if you add up my time and hours that I spent doing this, it was not an efficient use of time. But again, I was local, I have a car in which I can load up and I can take to the tip. So at the end of most weeks, I was able to go in there and get rid of any of the parts of the property that we no longer needed, load them up in my car, take them to the tip, and I could do that within a few hours of work. And of course, because we have a local recycling tip centre nearby, I could do it under my own property address or this property address as kind of personal waste. So managed to save some money there for sure. Next is kitchen materials. So that really was everything that you see in the kitchen. So all the worktops being replaced, there's a new sink, there's all the appliances, there's the painting of the cupboard doors, doorknobs, sandpaper, sorry, everything came in at about £1,256.34. Bathroom materials, so of course you would have seen me in the video showing you those sort of 4 or 5 different layers of bathroom flooring. Well, I replaced the subfloor. We obviously replaced the taps, the stopcocks, the flexies, and we even replaced the toilet seat because that was a bit grim. And that came in at about £272.99. Not too much, to be fair. And same with general materials. This is the final cost on the list. And general materials was obviously painting throughout the property, skirting, door handles, sockets, lights, fire alarms, just every random bit of material, screws, bits of wood, whatever we needed, we were buying here and there. And although there was loads of purchases, often each purchase was only £20 here, £30 there, £40 there. So really, actually, it only came in at £307.74, which is actually very, very cheap. So yeah, did really well in terms of material costs there. And that leads me to the total. Did I hit that £5,000 budget? Unfortunately, we did not keep within the budget. We actually went just about £1,000 over, which is a real shame. But as mentioned in this video, we came up with a few different issues along the way. You have to resolve them on the fly. And although I have gone, let's say, about £1,007 over the budget here, I am not disappointed because I truly think this is a great long-term rental and a great long-term property to hold. So £1,000 more than expected. Timescale took longer than expected, but isn't that just most refurbs that you've ever worked on? Yes, it's probably the truth. After several problems overcome and a slight overspend, the project is now done and we've listed it with the letting agent at £950 per month. If you want to stay up to date with the other properties that I go and buy, then be sure to follow me on Instagram here. But apart from that, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.